Hey, this is Troy Taylor with the Championship Football Coaches Clinic, talking a little bit today about the 3 tests in recruiting. We went live yesterday and we had a lot of fun. We had guys sending in comments and questions. And if you want to, if you're out there, make sure you send your comments to YouTube and I'll try to answer any questions. But the 3 tests in recruiting, I think I learned this from Jim Cavanaugh. Coach Cavanaugh coached at William & Mary. He went to William & Mary. I believe he played for Lou Holtz, and he played for Marv Levy. And he went on to coach at William & Mary and coach at UNC. And he recruited Michael Vick to Virginia Tech. So that was a big deal. But Coach Cavanaugh recruited the 804. He recruited the 757 of Virginia. And I think he was the one that told me about the 3 tests. So like the first test is the grade test. They're going to look at that transcript. They're going to want to know what that GPA is. And, times have changed. It used to be that if you had a 2.0 core GPA, you could get a certain SAT score and it would equal out. The lower the GPA, the higher the SAT had to be, and the higher the GPA, the lower the SAT. And they still have that, but you got to have a 2.4 core GPA for Division I. And that is for 14 core classes. No, 16. I'm sorry. That's 4 classes every year. And you got to have at least a 2.4. So a lot of these coaches are coming in and they're asking about kids' grades. You got to make sure, if you're a young player, or you're a coach or a parent that's watching, that freshman and that sophomore year is so important that they make A's and B's, because those colleges that are coming in now looking at juniors, when they look at that transcript's only got 2 years on it. Their freshman year and their sophomore year. So if they didn't got a 2.1 overall or 2.4 overall, it's almost like it's too late. You have got to make sure that if you want to play college football, you've got to be making a 3.0. That's what we ask our players. It's what we preach in our success program with Coach Bland. So that's the first test. That's the grade test. And then number 2, after you pass the grade test, you got to pass the eyeball test. And some people don't know what the eyeball test is, but the eyeball test is when they look at you or they bump into you or they see you run around, do you pass the eyeball test? Do you look like a guy that could play on their team? Do you look like a guy that they recruited before? Because everybody's caught up on the measurables, how tall a kid is, how big a kid is, how fast a kid is. So the eyeball test, the eyeball test, you don't have much to do with that other than how good a shape you're in and, how fast you are and how strong you are. But you can't do anything about your height to pass the eyeball test. That's up to the good Lord. And then we get to the third test. The third test, sometimes guys don't even get to the third test and they already get a thumbs up. And that's the film test. First, do they pass the grade test? Then eyeball test. Do they look the part? And then 3, can they play the part? Do they have film? Can the kid run? Does the kid have good feet? I would say probably the hardest position to play in football and get recruited is the quarterback, because everybody's got to sign off on you if you're the quarterback and your college is recruiting you. When I was at Virginia Union, that was pretty much up to the head coach, because if you're the head coach, you're going to ride or die with that quarterback you bring in. So, the guy that's recruiting area's got to give a thumbs up. Then it goes to staff meeting. The quarterback coach has got to give a thumbs up. The coordinator's got to give a thumbs up. And then the head coach has got to give a thumbs up. if you're a quarterback. And then, I mean, you got to show you can fling it, and you got to show that you can run. So the film test. And if you're making a highlight film, you got to make sure you put those best plays first. I mean, I always look at a kid's film, and once I get to about the third or fourth play, I'm like, is that the third or fourth best play they had all year? Or I look at the first play, is that the best play this kid has had all year? Because they're not going to get, if they don't like it within 15 seconds, some guys won't watch it all. Some guys will. Some guys will watch every game, but you got to make sure that film pops. And that's O-line, D-line, linebacker, running back, DBs, wide receiver, everything. If you're a kicker, you need to be kicking the ball in the end zone. That's what they look for. So that's the three things I wanted to talk about today. If you're watching, if you have any questions or any comments, go to YouTube and leave it in the comments. We're live streaming on LinkedIn, on YouTube, Totem Pole Sports, on Twitter, on Coach Troy Taylor Twitter, and on the CFC Clinic Twitter. So if you have any questions, go to YouTube. Be more than happy to answer anything or help anybody. This kid told me today, this is the third anniversary of Kobe Bryant passing away. So I want to talk a little bit about Kobe. Kobe was obsessive, and he talked about having a culture of obsessiveness, and he was. And some people know, some people don't. Kobe, when he was growing up, going to all these camps and AAU teams, he was considered to be, one of the rich kids. He wasn't from inner city Philadelphia. He had lived in Italy. His dad had played pro basketball, in the NBA. And when he would go to these camps, he had to prove himself. And when those kids would go eat lunch at these camps, Kobe wouldn't eat. Kobe would go back in the gym. It was a pretty cool story that Allen Iverson from Bethel High School told about Kobe picking him up at the airport when he was going to go out there and play against the Lakers. And Kobe took him, I guess, to his hotel. And then Kobe asked Allen Iverson, what you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to the club. And then Kobe was like, I'm going to work out. And that's just the type of guy Kobe was. So, a culture of obsessiveness. That's what Kobe talked about. So if you're watching, if you have any questions, go to the Totem Pole Sports YouTube at 6:00. We will be having Jason Ma. Jason Ma will be coming on, my great friend. Jason Ma, who coaches quarterbacks at Alabama A&M. He will be coming on. He will be talking about the passing game. He will be answering any questions that you have. And he really is good. He's sharp. So I'm really excited. Jason hit me up, and he's going to be on the podcast tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about the weight room. And, there's trainers and there's private coaches, but nothing can substitute for working out with your team. The college coaches, they come by the high schools and, they check up grades, they eyeball guys, and then they come by workouts. And they want to see guys run around. They want to see how athletic they are. And I mean, if you're a kid and you want to play college football, you need to be in those workouts with your team, getting the team better. One thing that, a lot of coaches always ask is he a good teammate? And that's probably the greatest compliment you can give a player, is that they are a great teammate. So it's 5:23 right now. Jason Ma will be coming on at 6:00. Just to recap what I talked about today, the 3 tests of recruiting, and I didn't even get to the 4th test. I'll tell you about the 4th test. The first test is the grade test. You got to have the grades. 2, the second test is the eyeball test. You got to pass the eyeball test. You got to look the part. You got to look like a guy who plays on their team or could play on their team. 3 is the film test. Can you play the part? Do you have the film? Does it pop? And the way it is now with the recruiting, I mean, there's so many people in the portal in these big schools. They're only taking so many high school kids. Now, the fourth test I didn't talk a lot about. The fourth test is the character test. And a lot of times the college coach, they won't talk to the high school coach about the character test. As they're on their way to their car, they'll stop by in the office. They'll go into the cafeteria. They'll talk to a custodian, or they'll talk to a young lady, or they'll talk to a kid maybe with a disability, or they'll talk to an administrator or another teacher, and they'll ask them. They'll say, "Hey, do you know so-and-so?" And if you're a football player and you're good enough to play, at a good school or at a college, most people in the school are going to know who you are. So, that fourth test, that's probably the most important test. If you don't pass that character test, the NFL sends questionnaires to players' high school coaches. They do FBI background checks. They check everything. I mean, these NFL teams, they're investing a lot of money in these players in this NFL draft, and they're going to do their homework, and so are college coaches. So make sure that you just do what you're supposed to do. People always ask me, "Well, coach, what should I do? What camp do I need to bring my son to?" And I've stuck to this for a long time. You need to do three things. First of all, you got to make great grades. Make great grades. The higher your grades, the more opportunities you're going to have. 2, work hard. Work hard in the classroom. Work hard off the field. Work hard on the field. Work hard at home. Have a work ethic. And then the third thing I always say is be a good kid. Do what's right. Do your best. Treat people how you want to be treated. Go to class, show class, treat people with dignity and respect. It's football is the greatest game ever, and there's so many great coaches and so many great players and programs in the 804. And in this program, we like to highlight the state of Virginia. Last night, we talked to 3-time state championship coach Brad Bradley, who's the head coach at Heritage High School in Lynchburg. Go check that out. We've had Billy Mills, the state championship coach, 2-time at Dinwiddie High School. And we've only been doing this for a few months, but we love it. And we want to continue to do it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. At 6 o'clock, we're going to have Jason Mai on. If you don't get on the live, make sure you check that Jason Mai clinic talk out. Thank y'all. Keep playing.